Hello, Darren Chang again to do a review of a bag called the Tenba DNA 13. And you should know that Tenba is a camera bag company. And yet, as many of you know who have followed this blog, I actually think that camera bags do a really nice job of being crossover commuter bags. And you'll see in a moment why that's the case. In the front here, now this is obviously it's a messenger bag style, so there's a flap that goes across the entire opening of the bag, offering some level of weatherproofing. I don't typically love bags that are messenger bags because I think it makes it a little bit less accessible than I'd like for the bag to be in terms of being able to get into and grab my items. However, this bag has a nice feature in it which in some ways gives you the best of both worlds. The waterproofing ability of a flap and still having the accessibility of a soft-sided briefcase. In the front here, you'll see that over on this side there is a slash pocket. It's not zipped or anything, it just sort of folds over the top. It's a perfect place for me to put my sunglasses. It's not padded and it doesn't have any fleece lining in it, but it certainly, if I'm careful, it really does a nice job of holding my glasses or my sunglasses in there. To the other side, we have a much larger zip pocket, so it's going to be a little bit more secure. And because it's right on the open front flap, I tend to put my wallet in there because it's much more accessible. Over on the side here, you can see that we have a nice, deep and flexible pocket here. It's a mesh pocket that stretches wide enough to be able to hold a 750 milliliter water bottle. And you have the exact same thing going on this side of the bag as well, another mesh pocket. And in this pocket, I keep my car keys, nice and accessible on the outside. And then let's swing around to the back and see what we have going on here. On the back, you can see that we have a piece of webbing. It looks kind of like seat belt material. And it's held in the center by a piece of Velcro. And if you pull this apart, this allows you to slip this piece of webbing over the luggage handle of a piece of rolling luggage. That's nice and handy as you're cruising through the airport. And then just above this, you can see we have a large zippered opening which spans the entire width of the bag. And in here, you could easily put in file folders if you wanted to, maybe a boarding pass, anything that you need to have fairly quickly accessible. What's cool about this bag though, and you'll see with the picture that I provided in the inset, is that it actually has an organizer panel. It's not the only organizer panel, by the way, in this bag, so that I actually have chosen to put my phone in one of these slash pockets. There's a couple of areas for you to put a couple of pens or pencils. I have an envelope here, and then a pack of a whole bunch of styli. So even though it's a flat pocket, it's really divided nicely to be able to allow you to organize things in the rear pocket. You obviously wouldn't want to put anything too three-dimensional here because you'd feel it against your back or your side as you're carrying the bag. On the top of the bag, you'll see that there's a webbing handle. It's actually a pretty nice cushy webbing handle. The only thing that I don't love about it is that if you notice, the handle itself is located more towards the rear part of the bag, which means when you lift up the bag like this, you can see that the back end tips out. That becomes an issue when you're walking with the bag if holding it by the handle because it hits against your knees, as you can see in the photo. The bottom of the bag actually is worth noting because it's got a really tough material, and it's clearly a waterproof material right here on the bottom, so you can set this down in something wet and not expect that the contents of the bag, the inside of the bag, is going to get wet. So much tougher than the material around it. And the material itself, I should take a moment to talk to you about this. It's kind of neat. It's clearly a woven nylon. It maybe is not as heavy duty as a Cordura 500, but it is still plenty tough. There's no doubt about it. The beauty of it though is it's so much softer and silkier so that it's not going to pill your clothing as the bag rubs against your clothing inevitably when you're wearing it. So it seems like it's almost the best of both worlds. It's a tough fabric, but it's smooth enough that it's not going to damage your clothing. These are not your typical Fastex buckles. And you'll see in the inset photo that I've shown here, what you need to do here is slide them sideways and they come off. They're incredibly secure despite the fact they come off as easily as they seem to. And what's neat about it is you just need to get it in close proximity and there's a magnet that pulls this in place and latches it by itself. Now, if you try to pull the latch straight off, it won't come off. If you try to pull it up and down, it won't come off. The only way to make it slide off is to slide it off here towards me, and then it comes off lickety-split. Nice latch system here. It is a messenger bag, and inevitably you have with messenger bags Velcro. And you can hear that horrible tearing sound. If I end up keeping this bag, I'm probably going to use a seam ripper and take off this part of the Velcro so I never have to deal with that Velcro sound. All right, so here we have the flap is now open. You'll notice here on the inside flap, there's a room here for an ID. If you need to, maybe you have a key card that allows you to get access to certain buildings. And you can just kind of hide it in here and put the flat of your bag up against the scanner to let you in. That's kind of a nice touch there. And you can see in here, we have a wide gaping mouth with a huge volume inside of this bag. Despite the fact this is one of their smaller bags, they have, if I'm not mistaken, they have a DNA 8 all the way up through a DNA 15. So this is sort of the one right in the middle. This thing holds a ton, even though it's not more than 15 inches from the left side of the bag to the right side of the bag. So very compact because it has a pretty good width, as you can see here. And that allows you to be able to pack in a whole lot of stuff into here. I have in here my camera insert. Understand that the Tenba system, the Tenba bag here, does come with its own insert. However, that insert fills up the entirety of the inside of the bag and gives it a lot of structure, but it makes the bag almost too stiff in my mind. So I decided to replace it with this smaller camera insert that I've always had. And it also gives me a lot of room to be able to put in my headphones along the side. One thing I want you to notice is that even without the camera insert in there, this bag has enough structure in and of itself to hold itself up like this, even with my iPad and folders in there. So this is a really nice bag in terms of having enough flexibility to be able to conform to your body, but not so flexible that it can't stand on its own. Really nice touch here. And along the back here, you'll see that I have a Velcro latch, which gives me access to a dedicated iPad pocket here. I have a mini, but it will no problem fit a regular size iPad in there. And then just behind that, you have another padded slot here where you could put a 13-inch laptop computer if you want. For me, it makes more sense for me to carry a whole bunch of file folders in there, which again, I could easily fit in this zippered back pocket if I wanted to as well. I just choose to keep it in the interior of the bag just because it protects it a little bit more. On the back wall here, or the front wall, I'm sorry, you have another set of pockets here. You can see here it's an organizer pocket situation here. So another couple slots for pens or pencils, large slots here. You can easily fit a wallet, hard drive, any number of things. And then on top of this, there is a zippered pocket, and it's in this zippered pocket that I put all my dongles that I might need. And then I haven't even begun to talk to you guys about the front organizer panel here. It's a lot more sort of obviously divided here. And we have, this is a brilliant job by Tenba. These front pockets here, these front slash pockets, go all the way down to the very bottom. So you can toss things, put in things that are fairly large into there. I choose to have my gum and my Burt's Bees in there. In this side, I have a lens cap, although who knows, I really don't have anything in there right now. Just behind that, you can see these pockets on either side. These are much shallower, so not everything falls to the bottom of the bag and ends up puffing up the bottom of the bag. You have different levels where things can take up volume at different parts, different levels of the bag from top to bottom. So in this one over here, I have a little pocket hard drive. Over here, I have some charging cables. And then you'll notice on either side, I have my pen or my stylus holder. Now, here's what's brilliant about having these pen holders on the outside edges of the bag here. And most of the time, you should know that the pen pockets are somewhere in the center. If I have the bag closed, I hate doing this because I'm going to have to tear off the Velcro in just a moment. But if I have the bag closed, I can still very easily reach in here and pull out my pen or put it right back in without having to take the flap off. I think that's a brilliant touch. Now, of course, I could still choose to put the pens in this little divided pocket back here if I wanted to, but having to unzip to get access as opposed to simply reaching through here through the flap and getting the pen or the stylus is really brilliant. Now, I'm not sure if Tenba did that on purpose, but whatever happened there, it works, and it works really well. I'm going to take a moment actually right now to repack this bag. I'll put it into fast forward because I want to show you the coolest feature of this bag that I alluded to moments ago. So I'm going to fast forward right now. Okay, actually before I get to that really cool feature, I wanted to make sure I pointed out to you the shoulder strap here. And it's a really nice shoulder strap made with really stout hardware. It's all metal. The clip right here is all metal, as you'll see in the photo, the inset photo there. It also has a cross strap, which allows you, if you're bicycling with this bag, to stabilize the bag a little bit more. I use that to clip my keys and my ID to. And then the shoulder strap, or the shoulder pad, I'm sorry, it slides along the strap itself, and it's nicely padded. It's a good size. It's not huge, but it's a good size. And on one side, you can see here, it's got this rubberized stippling pattern here that's got a little bit of stickiness, so it'll stay affixed to your shoulder. Okay, so it is adjustable on both sides, and it's a really nice wide belt as well. It is made out of the same material that you'd use for seat belts in the car, so obviously it's plenty tough. All right, so let's get to that feature that I was referring to earlier, and that is, as you know, I'm not a big fan of having to take off the flap in order to get access to the middle compartment, to the main compartment of the bag. And to eliminate the need to do that, there's a big zipper that spans the entire length of this the flap, and allows you to get in there and access something like your camera or your iPad or the folders. It might be harder to pull the file folders out of there, frankly, because you'd have to fit them through this space and they might get bent on the way. But what is neat about this bag, and you'll see this in the inset photo, is that you can actually access the front pockets, the ones that are just under the flap here, from this area. So in a sense, you would never really need to take the flap off unless you absolutely had to. In fact, I would imagine that 90% of the time, I'm just going to use this opening on the top to get access to anything that I might need to get out of this main compartment. So really nice job. It does have a zipper cover here, which many of you may know that I can't stand having zipper covers, but in some ways you can't avoid it in this situation, since if it gets rained on and you have a zipper up here, the water would go right through that zipper. So this does make it a little bit more weatherproof. You'll also notice that Tenba does provide a weather wrap, which is simply a rain cover. In case you get caught out in the rain, you can throw it over the entire bag. And just below that, you'll see that is the stabilizer strap that you'd attach in case you're cycling and want to make sure that you're more stable. So there you have it. This is the Tenba DNA 13. It really is a fantastic bag, really well thought out, super stable as you can see, and I think this might actually be the bag that I go with. Good luck looking for your dream bag, and look at my other videos and written reviews on daypackfinder.blogspot.com.